Okay, guys, welcome back to Series 2, Episode 1 of Llandudno FC Talk of the Town podcast. As you can see, you've got a new host, quite a lot better looking and slightly more mature. So I'm Davey Guinn, and for my first episode, I'd like to welcome Marc Willow.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming along, Marc. Thanks for coming along. Marc, just going to go through a few questions with you and things like that, and throw the banter at us, thick-skinned and all that lot, etc., what have you. But how is football going at the moment?
Yeah, pretty well. We're on a winning streak at the minute, 8 wins, and yeah, I think, not from just speaking for myself, I think everyone's really enjoying being at the football club. I think that stems from the top, the management staff, and we've got a good group of players. The team spirit at the minute's really good. It does remind me back to the year we got to Europe in the Welsh Prem. We're all seems to be on the same wavelength, and I think when you get that, you've got a good chance to do something successful. And that's around the ground as well. The fans are coming back. Their support's been great this year as well, and off the field, the club is thriving again, which is, for a local lad, it's nice to see. A few years back, it seemed to be a dark place, and it's nice to see that people enjoy being back at Llandudno and the results are following on the pitch.
I'd have to totally agree with you there. Yeah, there's a buzz around the place, and it's been experienced a few times before, but it's just something different about this buzz this time, isn't there? It's good to see family coming back in.
It is, yeah, and it's great to play. And I mean, we had a Tuesday night game, and I think there was 450 on a Tuesday night, and they're the type of attendances you want, for a midweek, and I think if the fans come and will enjoy the football. I think we've played some great stuff this year, and long may if we keep winning and can prove to be in the title race. Hopefully we can get a few more through the door.
Fingers crossed, touch wood, all that lot, eh? All that lot. So, Marc, for those of our listeners and what have you who don't really know much about you, just give us a little bit of an insight of your past, mate. Clubs you've played for, a little bit of a run through.
Yeah, obviously left school, became a YTS at Wrexham, broke into Wrexham's first team at the age of 17 in League Two, away at Rushden and Diamonds. Strike partner for the day was actually Jonathan Walters.
Cheeky little smile there. That's a budding memory, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and being so young and actually at the crossbar on the day, which I just thought, just leaning back a little bit. But it was, Jonathan Walters, and I think he went one way, I went the other. But it was great. I mean, we had Marc Jones had just broken to the Welsh team, and I remember that particular day we weren't great on the day, and he just scored two worldies, and it made me realise how big moments win football matches, because we weren't really in the game. But yeah, it was a good experience, and that went on for 2 or 3 years. In and out of the Wrexham team as a youngster, and then I had my purple patch year really under Dean Saunders at the age of 20, where everything I touched almost just turned to gold, and I was scoring week in week out, and yeah, I think I got to January transfer window and I'd scored 17 and 20. Which as a number 10 was really good. It got lots of interest in that window, and looking back now, probably should have left. Decided to stay at Wrexham. Unfortunately, broke my foot literally 4 weeks later, and then I had a long stint on the sideline. Had a few years out. I actually broke it again, and then I needed a fresh start. Went to Kidderminster. My brother was at Kidderminster. We just follow each other around really. Had a 6 months there, and then signed for Chester. Again, enjoyed it at Chester. 2 league titles we won, and after that came locally to Colwyn Bay in the Conference North. Captain Colwyn Bay, good experience again, and then I came over to Llandudno, where they just came into the Welsh Prem, which obviously that year winning Welsh Prem player and getting into the Europa League, which massive experience for everyone of the town really. It was an amazing year, and that's what I was saying at the start. I think that year with from in the dressing room, outside, it all felt right and everyone was together, and I feel the same this year, so that's good. And left, went to Bangor. Actually really enjoyed Bangor. It was just the same old financial thing, unfortunately. And then off to Aberystwyth for the last 2.5 years. And I think, to be fair, a lot of people said about the travelling and what have you, but it was a time in my life where it was, I needed the travelling, I needed to get away from things that were happening away from the pitch, and it was a football club that really helped me to overcome, my personal problems, and I started enjoying my football again. Captained the side there as well, and really enjoyed it. But I think just towards the end of last year, I knew it was time to come and play local football. I almost wanted to come back and prove that, maybe I have changed, and I am a better person today than maybe I have been in the past. And I thought, no better ways to start than go back to Llandudno and hopefully get us back in the Welsh Prem.
Well, let's hope so. You just brushed over there when you mentioned about going signing for Kiddie, and obviously Mike was there, etc. Do you feel? Do you play different when you're both on the same team? I know you were both on the same team with the Europa Challenge we had here at Llandudno, etc. Do you feel a little bit of you have to perform more because he's behind you, or do you relax a little bit more?
I actually probably, weirdly, because we've played at Wrexham, then there was Kidderminster, then there was, obviously we came here, and Bangor, so there's four clubs we've had. I actually probably a little bit more pressure in a weird way. I mean, off the field, he's my best mate, so I kind of, you can't. It's weird. You're playing your own game, but you want him to be doing well as well. You can't get away from that, from him being your sibling. So, I could be scoring. If he's having a bad game, it's not easy, or probably vice versa. And I remember at Kidderminster, I actually fell out with the manager at Kidderminster, and Mike was captain, and I think by my behaviour, I think I put him in a difficult spot. And sometimes, by having that sibling on the say, it can be difficult, especially maybe if something happens in the changing room and one of you speaks up, it's like, well, is Marc in the wrong, or things like that. It can,
yeah.
So it can be, as when things are going well, it's great. We've got a funny photo that we always look back at, me and Mike, and it was on the night here when we had got into the Europa League, and obviously Mike had come out of retirement when the players player and the directors player that year, and he had his arm around me and we're chatting. I think it was after all the Jaeger bombs that you bought us, and we've put a quote saying what he was saying to me, and it was they're great moments. That I remember the phone call when he rang saying he'll never kick a ball again, and I could hear it in his voice, and I just kind of, you feel a bit helpless. So to get them 2-3 years out of him to get into Europe and to see him do well that year was great. But like I said, when it's going well, it's good.
Good, rough and smooth, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
On and off the pitch with your brothers, isn't it? as we all know.
Yeah.
So, what's obviously put Llandudno aside, because we know Llandudno through and through, etc. It's your second spell here and what have you. What would you say if you had to pick one of the clubs that you've played for? Which club was, you'd say, the best club, the happiest time you had, etc.?
It's difficult because I've got memories of everywhere really, and just for different reasons maybe. I think obviously I was at Wrexham from the age of 8 all the way to to 23. I spent a long time at Wrexham, and it was my boyhood club, and like I said, that season doing so well, and I wanted to get them back in the Football League, and we were second, and people, looking back now, even if maybe I didn't get the injury the way we were playing, there could have been a good chance. So I look back at that year. That year was my best year in football. Like I said, I scored 17 and 20. I was going away with Wales under 21s, and I had interest in the January window, and it's like as a young 20-year-old, I felt like that was me at my best, and have I quite been the same? Have I hit maybe the potential from that? No, I think the injuries have played a massive part. Obviously other things as well off the pitch, and I've enjoyed it. But I look back, I'd love to go back to that moment as a Wrexham player before obviously the injury, and I'd probably do a few things different. But like I said, every club's had that moment where I went to Chester and we won league titles, and that was a strong group of lads. That was a very strong team, and when you're winning week in, week out, that was a good changing room to be involved in. When you've got the likes of George Horan, who was gone in Connors Key, and players like that, players that had come out of the Football League. Chester were getting 3,000 fans a week, so I really enjoyed that time, and that kind of got me back enjoying football, after the injuries I'd had at Wrexham. And then Colwyn Bay, I enjoyed Colwyn Bay, playing local football, and we were always an outsider in the Conference North. I remember we went 6 games, and we won 6 on the bounce. Me and Eva were talking about it the other day, and we actually got ourselves just in the playoffs. And for Colwyn Bay, I mean, that was amazing at the time. So, there's good little moments you look back at that. Because I said to him, we're on 8 now. What we got 6 at the Bay. We're on 8 wins. How long can we keep it going? And like I said, there's different moments. Different reasons, obviously, at Aberystwyth why I enjoyed it. We're never going to compete in the top 6. But personally, I think after my second and third year here, which, after my first year scoring so many goals, it was a lot more difficult. Second and third year, managers knew, how we played, maybe my strengths, and I didn't score enough goals. So I took a lot of criticism with that, and then I kind of left under that dark cloud under Yuan. Despite the great first year and what we achieved for the club, it was almost like I'd become an outcast overnight. So going back into the Welsh Prem and scoring all them goals for Aber, it gave me that confidence that well I can be good enough, because when I left this football club I felt really low, and I remember leaving that year and how it was done, and I even contemplated just hanging up my boots there and then. But yeah, it was nice that, like I said, so them moments were good. That I almost proved to myself and to other people that, I can perform like I did in the first year. So that meant a lot. And, and coming back now, I probably enjoy my football more at 33 now than I ever have. It's quite nice just to go out there, kitted up, get my boots on, and just go out with a smile, which, that's how I feel right now. I'm really enjoying it.
Good feeling you're top of your game. It's brilliant. At the ripe old age of 33 as well.
A few more years, maybe.
Nice one. So what's it like playing for Sean? Let's get the white elephant out of the room. Come on, throw the gaffer under the bus.
Well, I would try and throw him under the bus. It's a fun one. I'll throw him under the bus in this sense. I remember being at his wedding and a few drinks in, and I remember Evo saying about maybe going to Carnarvon. And he's going, yeah, but if you come to Carnarvon, Urs doesn't want the mouthy Mark Williams, maybe if you didn't do all that, So I thought, well, something's been said here. And, I know I've been a nightmare at times in change rooms, losing football matches and maybe being a bit over opinionated, but whether he stayed away from me going there for them type of reasons, because it is difficult. You and I can see it now. I can see the change room, what he's got and what he wants. So you wouldn't want a bad egg within that. Not saying I'd be a bad egg, but if things weren't right, I would speak up normally. And sometimes it can go for you and go against you. You want to win football matches, but what I've learned, and I guess this is the experience side, this is where I'm at now in life. Sometimes it's saying the right things and doing the right things, and maybe sometimes I didn't think before saying certain things, especially when Alan Morgan was here, and but this summer he obviously came in for me, and I was delighted to come back. But watching him as a young manager, and he creates people. You can't create what's in that dressing room at the minute. As players, I've tried it. I tried to go to Aberystwyth, and because I seen what Llandudno had in that first year, I seen what got us into Europe, and as captain of Aberystwyth, I wanted that over there, and I couldn't create it, and that's that. Have that beer together after the game, win, lose or draw, or music, that banter, that all them things putting together, them nights out, and I just couldn't do it at Aberystwyth, and whether you like it or not, there was 3 groups. It was that group, and this football club doesn't have a group. You could be left with anyone in that change room, and there's a spark there, and that comes from the gaffer. Obviously, personnel play a part to that, but the way he treats everyone, from a young lad coming on loan from Connors Key or TNS as they've done, and he'll make everyone feel welcome in that room and start the way he does, and there's an element, because obviously it's that he always got the banter and laughing, and people naturally think is that him, but there's another side to him. And before I signed, actually, which I didn't know he had, as a manager, because I've only known him as an assistant, and obviously as a friend. So when I remember in pre-season, Cresford had beat us 3-1, and I was injured at the time, and I just came to watch. Hoggy was over the fence, and I still hadn't made my decision. And I said to Hoggy, I'll let him know. So I looked over, I thought, oh God. And I was basically, and I went in the change room after the game, and it took I think it's just had 5 minutes of something I didn't know he had as a manager, and I was like, I want to play. I really wish I wasn't injured, and I've noticed that this year, like before we go out for the matches, is like motivational to get us up for a game, and that's pretty special. You've either got that or you haven't, and so he's got that about him, which, you know, we're ready, we're firing, which is great, and then he's got the good funny side, and I think if you can have both, you know, it makes you a really good manager. And yeah, he's learning the game, and he's on a wonderful run. Manager's player last month as well. Manager of the month, sorry. So yeah, it's good to play under. But like I said, I think maybe he might have dodged me for many years, but he's got me now, so I'm sure he.
Well, exactly. Lucky for us, we've got you. We've got your back. Just one quick one. Basically, just to move on to the next set of questions. What has been the height of your career?
I'd have to look him now with what's happened in Welsh football. It'd have to be, you know, when you're lining up with your country, and you know you dream of playing for your country at any level, and you know, to do that at 16s, 17s, and the 19s, and then the 21s, and you know, you've got Joe Allen to one side and Hal Robson-Kanu the next, and you know that I look back at them as very fond memories. You know, you kind of, you know, you don't realise at the time how close maybe you are to better things. You can only look back, and you know that saying isn't hindsight. And you know, Joe Allen obviously gone on and nicknamed the Welsh Pirlo now, and Hal Robson-Kanu known for that infamous Cruyff turn in the Euros. So and there's me in the middle. So, but you know, they're great memories, and you know, you're going away with the under-21s, and you've got Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey turning up and training with them players. You know, Jack Collison, who I always thought was an excellent footballer. I loved watching him even play. You know, it was fortunate he retired early, and yeah, just, you know, that's probably the height of playing around them players. And you know, you're travelling around the world and seeing different parts of the world, and playing football, the game we love. So that was pretty amazing. But yeah, you know, like I say, after that, I'd say the Llandudno year was special, because that was something local, and then to pull that in local, and how, you know, great it was. I mean, we were bottom after 6 games, and then to do that, and then to go and experience that, you know, the Europa League in Sweden was amazing. And their memories, you know, no one can take them away. You know, whether you've had good parts of your career, bad parts, their memories that are there, and that will stick with us all. 20,000
Swedish ultras are certainly got a set of lungs on them, haven't they, to sing throughout the 90 minutes of a football game.
Yeah.
Let's flip that one, mate. Let's flip it, and tell me the lowest point of your career.
Lowest point, there's been a little bit. I mean, the injuries aren't great. I mean, I remember the lowest point when I broke my 5th metatarsal. Like I said, 4 weeks earlier, I had a chance to go higher. You know, like I said, it was the best I'd ever played that year. And you know, you make decisions and you live by them, don't you? And maybe, you know, Dean Saunders at the time, you know, stay with us and sign this new contract, and you know, I'll take you higher. And as maybe a young, naive 20-year-old, I thought, well, I'll get the best of both worlds with this. And then 4 weeks later to, you know, have surgery on my foot and be in a cast, that was my lowest, because I was so close, and you know, I didn't know what was going to happen after that. But it, unfortunately for me, that's where you know, the only way I could escape that was to start gambling, which effectively has been one of my struggles over the last 12-13 years. And you know, I've learned more about that now in terms of what I do, and to know, you know, why I went to it, you know, why I turned to that at that point. And it was to escape my reality, that maybe I just missed out on something I dreamt of my whole life. And unfortunately, I never got that opportunity again to go higher. And you know, it's one I'll always have that little regret, should I have maybe gone. But you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah. Hey, I've had the pleasure of many long coach journeys with you in the Welsh Prem, etc. And we've spoken about your gambling and what have you, that it's affected you over the past decade, and it's something you're working very hard to gain awareness of nowadays, which is fantastic. Obviously, keeping tracks of you on Facebook, etc., social media. So for those who don't know, again, why is it such a big part of your life? How did you get? You just mentioned there with your metatarsal, your little outlet was a little bit of a a gamble here and there and what have you. Did you fall into the traps of it very quickly, or is it something?
Well, I always grew up, in that around gambling, in that environment. I grew up in arcades. I mean, we live on a seaside. A lot of the young lads around here will be doing the same. And I lived in Panama. I came over to Llandudno, and then there was bingo halls, and that's where it started.
So that's a fine, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. But to be fair, Pio will know. I give him a 20 every Saturday and say I'm in credit. That's all I do now. Him and Witty go around finding everyone. I'd just rather being in credit. So now I turn up late. I don't have no flip flops. I don't do anything. And they just find me and I say, take it out. Brilliant. But yeah, it's I grew up around it, and then when I became a YTS, it was then the environment. We all were waiting around to go to the first team matches. We'd go and put that football accumulator on, and we all did it. So it was just normal. I mean, looking back now, I could see I was different to them personality-wise. There was two of us that would stay in the bookmakers a lot longer. Both of us have gone on to be gambling addicts. I actually speak and do a lot of work with the other person. But yeah, looking back now, I can see me and him on that roulette machine while everyone else totted off to the racecourse. So, but it never really got out of hand then.
The football ground, not the actual racecourse.
Well, yeah.
Roulette or horses?
Well, we went to the racecourse. They went to the Kairos. But then it wasn't, like I said, it was always done safely at that point. And I think maybe once my money had changed as well, and like I said, a lot of addiction comes from that escapism, something to get away from, whether that's drugs, alcohol or gambling. And I had to escape that and being at home and missing out kind of on my dream and, feeling a bit down about myself. I just started gambling more. And, you've got to remember that year, like I said, 17 and 20 from playing in the number 10, it was like I got a hat-trick just before Christmas, that winning goal feeling on many occasions. And that was a massive adrenaline rush. It was up there, which really in my career up to date, I'd done good things, but I almost lived on that for a good 7 months of just being so high. And once I got injured, I came crashing down. So the closest I could get to that buzz or that adrenaline rush was through gambling.
So it's almost you were addicted to the adrenaline, like you just said, and
sports
that was a replacement.
Yeah, sports people are 3 times more likely to gamble as well. It's in our nature. We want to win. We were talking before about it's not wanting me for saying the wrong thing, but we are sore losers, and I do struggle with winning. I think once if I'm gambling, it's like I'll keep going until I win. I'll keep going. Then it's that competitive nature we have. But yeah, there's lots of it within sports now. And once I got that injury, I kind of went into it, but I changed almost once the debt started accumulating, and I almost lived that double life of lying around in every circle to get the bets on, and it just became 24 hours a day. I had to have a bet on.
Yeah. So like you just said before then, with alcohol and drugs, people outside the box wouldn't put gambling up there, you see, if they didn't understand the importance of...
That's the point of now. It's like, we're raising awareness on that. It's slowly getting there. I mean, there's, unfortunately, I don't like talking about it and saying when I go into the high schools, but there's more suicides through gambling than any other addiction, and that hits home to a lot of people thinking, oh wow, really? And, it's a really serious addiction. But I think because it's normalised as fun and look how great this is, because it can be, to the right person. And I'm not here to ever say not to gamble. I wish I could do it safely. Unfortunately, I can't. But because of that normalisation, it almost makes it that, well, it's not as big as the others, when in actual fact it's one of the worst. And I think, Paul Merson's documentary last week, he battles all 3, and he's actually said that gambling's been the toughest. But yeah, it's great that we get to go into the high schools, football clubs. I was fortunate enough to be in Swansea last week, and week before I was in Berwick prison speaking to the inmates and talking about, and even chatting to them. Some of them are in there maybe gambling. It was the root cause, having debt, and then they've had to go, maybe going down the crime route, and before you know it, they're behind bars. So it's been a real eye-opener the last year in terms of the work and that I love doing it. And if you can help anyone, if I help one person from not going through it, then I'm happy with that. But certainly the amount of people that get in touch, it's daily. So I know there's a lot of it out there.
Do you feel that the good work. We could only say it's good work, fantastic work. What you're doing to raise awareness, etc. Unfortunately, I can see that you're a small in a huge pond. Do you feel if there was someone around like yourself when you were a YTS, when you had all this time on your hands and you were bored basically, weren't you? And that's where you started putting the odd bet on. Do you feel it could have steered you a different way? Possibly.
That's what we're hoping now. I mean, the words you've just used there is what we use in the workshops. It's, people are bored, isolated. So, and I see it a lot now. A lot of people that have actually just gone to university are spending that. They're 18. They've never had £2,500 in their bank account. Then all of a sudden, they're bored in their room on their own, should be doing their work, want that bit of buzz. They're going out and things like that. But around the day, they've got a lot of free time. You're only contacted to 8 or 9 hours in university. So many people that are going to university are getting in touch because the first thing they're doing is opening a gambling account and gambling their money.
Great. Well, fingers crossed.
Like you say, if the workshops were there, do I think I could have gone different? Possibly, because you would have seen it more. You would have. I would have known my personality earlier. I mean, I've only learned that in the last few years, really, of how my personality is and what the addiction is, really.
Well, fingers crossed. If you make an impact on one person, it's doing fantastic, isn't it? Doing fantastic. Right, Marc. A couple of quick fire questions to get through. Some quite good ones as well. So obviously you're gonna have to think long and hard about this one, but just explain and tell us the best goal you ever scored. Tough one.
I'm gonna have 2 or 3. I always, and all depends on the person I think that would pick. The Port Albert one here, the left Conturney's thrown it across my body, let it run across me, the top corner. You looking at it? Do you remember?
Keeper waving at it. I think if I remember right.
Went in the stand, and that, that was one of the best goals. And I do like that goal, and I think most people would pick that goal. There was a goal in Colwyn Bay which I think outdoes it, but we haven't got the video footage, so it's difficult. Against Oxford, I was on the edge of the box. It just came out, but there's a guy just jumping just for me, and I've just struck on the volley, but that just flew straight into the stanchion. Whereas the one hit the Port Albert, although it's a cross goal, bit wind assisted maybe, bit up and through. This one was just straight as a bullet. So if I could I'd love to see that one again between them two. But there was the one at Aberystwyth against Kevin Druid. I always put that there. We just lost 10-1 to TNS. We'd gone to Druid and a lot of things said in the week, and it was 1-1 and ball came across, and again it was a great strike, 25-30 yards out, and flew into the stanchion. And I think the feeling of that one, because of what happened the week before, whatever level you're at, you can't lose football matches like that. It was embarrassing. It was, so as captain at that moment, and to get that type of goal meant a lot. But I'd put them 3 up there. It'd be tough to. But that one was across my body, so it's all about the technician. Leave it to the people that are looking at the technique of the strike. But they're nice when them ones flying, that's for sure.
Well, you've mentioned it, so we'll be biased and we'll just go for the Port Albert one.
Didn't know.
Why not?
There we go.
Why not? Okay.
Or maybe the one on Saturday that Jaggers sliced to me, I sliced, Dino watched it roll in
and celebrated.
Maybe that.
That's a typical goal poacher, isn't it?
Yeah. They count the same. So
of course, and it's all for the team, isn't it? It's for the club, it's for the badge. Who's the best manager you've ever played under? No pressure there, by the way.
I'm not, just for what he did to me at that time, would have to be Dean Saunders. He took me from a number 10 that just wanted to link up the football, and I loved doing that, and I thought it was enough. I thought, well, I'm linking it up, I'm doing great, but didn't realise that, well, no, it's great doing your assists and getting out to your wingers and that, but you need to become a goal scorer. And I remember him coming in, and he just almost gave me this massive confidence. Then he'd taken me out every afternoon, and it was just shooting, all angles of the box and the techniques of it. And at the age of 20, seeing it, I was like, we really narrowed it down to where we're kicking the ball from what angle, and that's really helped me actually, because I've taken that into my own one-to-ones. But having that and just someone like, once you score and just big you up all the way through, he got something out of me that no one did up until that point. I was doing good things, I was having good matches, but was I an out-and-out goal scorer? No, I wasn't, and he brought that out of me that year, and my whole game changed, and like I said, my confidence went through the roof, and I look back now, and it's hard because then I had bad times with him as well, those things I felt he did that I thought, well, that's not great as a manager. So I'm a bit bittersweet in terms of picking him, but there was moments in that first year where I thought, wow, this is amazing. So
those moments obviously outshine.
Yeah, I mean, when you're injured on Christmas Day and you've got a cast on and you still have to go in the morning and you're in the treatment room and he comes in, doesn't even say Merry Christmas, and then says, "Oh, you're no use to me," and walks out. It's like, is this the world we live in? It's Christmas Day, but you look back and in my last year, I was almost filtered out in a way, like because of my injuries and other players had come in, and that was tough. I was doing well and I was scoring hat-tricks in the reserves and just didn't get a chance. And I looked back then and felt, well, I've shown you I'm back to where I was. Yeah. And felt he could have gave me an opportunity in that last year. But yeah, for that first year and how we made, like I said, he was brilliant with all of us, and he had that drive. He had that. He was the first one in, the last one out, and it was good. He really wanted you to become the best striker, and it certainly helped me.
Well, you've seen the nasty dark side version of football as a business there, haven't you? And,
yeah.
What have you? You get to the top, and just as quick, if not quicker, you're right back down the hill again, aren't you? What have you? Yeah. So moving on, what football team do you support?
Probably the wrong day for you to ask, the wrong week. But on Sunday, I started supporting Liverpool.
After about 18 minutes,
well, Mo Salah's my favourite player now. Unfortunately, I'm Man United, which it wasn't easy. I was at my partner's house on Sunday, and they're all Liverpool, so there was 4 Liverpool fans, 1 Man United fan, and it got that loud in the end. I just went and sat in the kitchen. Once it went to 4, I just went and sat at my own wheel, I think. Willow's at the wheel. It was just embarrassing, but that's, Liverpool at the minute are flying. Mo Salah, best player in the world. Yeah. And I even had to go to Twitter. I'm not a major Twitter person. I do a few bits, like you say, for the gamblers there. But I even offered Ollie to come to the OPS Wind Arena. I don't think they'd get near us at the minute. I think we could give them a game. Might
be a good friendly, that, on the cards. So whilst you were sulking in the kitchen, is it pineapple on a pizza or not?
Oh, I would have pineapple on a pizza if you got me that. Well, the traditional Hawaii is obviously ham and pineapple. So I would. Would I select that over the others? No, I like a spicy pizza. But I have got into the vegetarian thin and crispy from Domino's. That's a nice one. But yeah, I'm more hot. Jalapenos, chilies. Yeah, but not great the next day.
Bit of variety. Bit of variety. Yeah. Okay, how about, what would you say is your funniest moment at Llandudno Football
Funniest?
Club? Yeah.
It's funny every week, isn't it?
Well, it's got to be a hard question to answer, really, isn't it?
Funniest moment, that's a really tough one. Funniest moment. Really put me on the spot.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think myself.
Funniest. Really difficult.
Let's have a think about that and come back to it.
Funniest moment. I mean, it's one of them places, and you're with the characters you've got in the dressing room. I mean, your Sayers, your Pios, you've got Jaggers, Chris. There's always something going on.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's just sprung into my mind, it's got to be Evo falling asleep at Connors Quay on the foam roller through Alan Morgan's pre-match speech.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Were we all sleeping?
PC Evo for you. PC Evo. Okay, last one then, Marc. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Hardworking, determined, happy.
I think that's hit the nail on the head, mate. Hit the nail on the head. Marc, thank you very much for your time. Guys, just so you all know, that Talk of the Town podcast will be put out on our YouTube channel, and I'd like to ask you all to follow us, keep up to date on Instagram and Facebook as to who will be interviewing next. Marc, thank you again.
Thanks,
all the best for the rest of the season.
Cheers.